Extremists don't care about collateral damage. The far left didn't care when they came and started berating the business partners of Subscribestar, when PayPal and Stripe terminated their agreement with Subscribestar. All because the far left doesn't like Sargon of Akkad. One person. One. And maybe a couple others. But there were dozens, over 100 different creators on Subscribestar, some of whom had nothing to do with the culture war. And the far left absolutely did not care that they caused harm to nearly 100 people, all because they had to make sure they could hurt Sargon. This story from Philadelphia, PhillyMag.com. Marines testify about the Antifa mob they say attacked them in Philly. There was a rally in Philadelphia a little while ago. They claimed it was a Proud Boy event. It wasn't. It was a bunch of constitutional libertarians. One guy was dressed like in colonist-style clothes, and a lot of people talked about the need for a smaller government, meaning not fascism. Quite the opposite. What ended up happening was a large showing of Antifa showed up because they were told it was Proud Boys. It was fascists and alt-right. And some people said it was because these journalists don't actually know how to do fact-checking. They don't know how to talk to people. So if someone says it's alt-right, apparently is. They showed up. First, they beat up a Jewish man. He had nothing to do with the event. A Jewish man was leaving a bathroom, apparently. Some people started yelling that he was a Proud Boy, and they started beating him up. And this actually made decent waves because it was a story about Antifa beating up a Jewish man who had nothing to do with this event. If you want to ask me, which side are the Nazis? The guy saying small government or the guys dressed in all black beating the Jewish people? I think the answer is rather obvious. But it gets worse. We heard another story that 2 Marines were beaten and maced by Antifa. And one of them wasn't even white. Why would they do it? Because they don't care about innocent people. All they want to do, there was a joke where there's a statement called Blackstone's formulation. It is better that 10 guilty persons escape than 1 innocent suffers. And Godfrey Elfwick made the joke, it's better to punch 300 innocent people if it means you punch 1 Nazi. That was the joke, that effectively Antifa goes around beating random and innocent people in the hopes that one of them is a fascist. And you know what? You might say, oh, but Tim, this was just this one event. Yeah, okay, sure. They beat up a Jewish guy. They beat up these Marines. But let me make another point. There's a game. It's called Secret Hitler. I just bought it. I'm looking forward to playing it. There's 2 teams, the liberal side and the fascist side. In the game, I kid you not, Will Wheaton promoted this part of the game. He said, liberals can get the ability to execute people. It's a board game. Okay, this is not real life. The goal is the liberals want to pass liberal policies and the fascists want to pass fascist policies. And if you want to gain voting majority, the liberals can give themselves execution powers and shoot and execute whatever player they want. I found it really funny that in the game, you could consider yourself to be liberal and justify executing a political rival to find a fascist. So when you see something like this is an inherent part of whatever this fringe psychotic ideology is, where they're absolutely willing to hurt innocent people, be it on Subscribestar, but for their careers, be it in the streets beating up Marines and a Jewish man, because they don't care. Their hope is just one time, one person. They will punch 300 people if it means they will find 1 fascist to punch. But let's read what happened with this story. Nearly 1 month after we told you that 2 U.S. Marine Corps reservists said they were attacked in Old City on November 17th near the controversial We the People rally, the 2 suspects and their accusers appeared in Philadelphia in a Philadelphia courtroom to testify on Thursday morning. The Marines, Alejandro Godinez and Luis Torres, it doesn't sound like either of those guys are white, both testified in uniform about the incident, while 3 Marine officers, including their commanding officer, stood in the gallery. The suspects, Thomas Massey and Tom Keenan, who have been linked to Antifa on websites and social media, sat together with their individual lawyers and did not speak. The Marines, who are not from the Philadelphia area, said that they had traveled to the city with other members of their helicopter unit headquartered at Fort Dix to attend a Marine event that night at a local hotel ballroom. They said that they had no knowledge of the nearby rally, which drew members of the alt-right as well as a large number of counter-protesters, Keenan and Massey reportedly among them. According to the Marines' testimony, they were touring historical landmarks near Front and Chestnut Streets when suspect Thomas Keenan approached them. Godinez testified that Keenan asked them, "Are you proud?" To which Godinez members responded, "We are Marines." Torres said that he remembers Keenan asking, "Are you Proud Boys?" An allusion to one of the alt-right groups behind the rally, but I believe that's not true. And one that Torres said he didn't understand. "I didn't know what Proud Boys meant," he said. Whatever Keenan said, both Marines testified that Keenan, Massey, and approximately 10 other people, men and women, some masked and some unmasked, then began attacking them with mace, punches, and kicks, calling them Nazis and white supremacists. On the stand, Godinez said that he was bewildered by being called a white supremacist and immediately cried out, "I'm Mexican." After that, as the attack continued, both men said that members of the group, including Keenan, repeatedly used ethnic slurs that I can't say because I will get in trouble on YouTube. Antifa beat two white guys, screaming slurs at them. You want to ask me who the Nazis were? Was it the guy dressed like a colonial figure, preaching about the small government? No. Call him kooky all day and night. That is not a fascist. But what about the group where they're dressed in black, wearing masks, screaming racial and ethnic slurs at people while they beat them and mace them? You want to know who the real Nazis are? I'm obviously using it as a turn of phrase, and I don't believe these people are literally Nazis, but they're definitely racist, violent authoritarians that don't care that they beat minorities and innocent people, and it makes me sick to my stomach. Godinez testified that he was maced at least 6 times, hit in the head, and kicked in the ribs. And he said that while he was being stomped, members of the group, which the judge and the district attorney's office have both referred to as a mob, chanted "F him up" over and over again. The best way I can describe it is the sound of people chanting in a soccer stadium, Godinez told the court. Also adding that Keenan was laughing, smiling, and having a good time while I could have died that day. Torres testified that Massey punched him full force repeatedly while he held his hands above his face to protect himself. And the prosecutor used the opportunity to make it clear that while both Torres and Godinez are Marines, the suspects are significantly larger in both height and weight than the two of them. In a statement previously released to Philly Mag, Godinez identified the group as an Antifa mob and said, "We were outnumbered. There were 2 Marines against 10 to 12 assailants." On the stand, Godinez explained that he tried to call 911 once the group had fled, but that he couldn't operate his phone because of the mace. Torres called 911 and an ambulance transported both men to Jefferson Hospital, where Godinez was treated. He said that his sight is still affected by what happened that day, a month later. He was noticeably blinking throughout the court proceeding, and that he continues to have discomfort from some of his other injuries. He testified that he might require surgery. Torres did not seek medical treatment. At one point in the hearing, Keenan's attorney referred to the incident as a tussle. Keenan, one of the Antifa guys. Shortly thereafter, the judge told the lawyer, "This isn't like kids at a playground." After Godinez and Torres testified, and the defense lawyers made brief arguments, the judge ruled that both men would be held for trial on aggravated assault and conspiracy charges, both felonies, as well as several misdemeanors. The judge also added a felony charge of ethnic intimidation against Keenan. Their next court date is December 27th. The lawyers for the suspects declined to comment for the story. There it is. Let me repeat that for all of you. The judge added a felony charge of ethnic intimidation against Keenan. Why? Because 2 white anti-fascists spouted ethnic slurs at a minority man while beating him and spraying him in the face. You want to ask me again who the fascists are? You can make whatever illusion, whatever joke you want, but you can't point to people who want small government and believe in the Constitution and call them fascist. You are insane. If you think these people who beat minorities are somehow not the Nazis, I don't know what to tell you. But now we can see once again another story. Somebody commented something. It was really annoying. They said, all Tim ever talks about is the bike lock basher. Sure, the bike lock basher was an egregious incident where a man bashed 7 people over the head. And I believe he got probation. I don't know what happened. But you want to act like there aren't more examples of this. Off the top of my head, there's this. There's the guy in Portland who was a Bernie Sanders supporter, who was clubbed in the back of the head because he had an American flag. We have these Marines. We have the Jewish man. Hey, that's 4. We also have the crazy guy, which I wouldn't necessarily call Antifa, but he was a Bernie Sanders volunteer who went to the baseball game with Steve Scalise. We also know that Antifa regularly shows up to events and beats people, like all of the Berkeley incidents, the Boston incident, and this is not to say that there aren't people on the right who are innocent, by no means. But when Antifa shows up wearing all black with pipes, and they show up in Portland, they show up in Berkeley, they show up in Boston, okay? When they repeatedly do this, they intimidate, they hit people, they show up in Philly, innocent people, then yeah, there is a serious problem. And look, that's off the top of my head. Because for anybody who wants to say, oh, that's it, Tim, 4 incidents? Look, off the top of my head, sure. But Breitbart, not a fan of Breitbart, but they compiled a list of around 683 and probably now more instances where people have been attacked. You have the guy who went to the In-N-Out and splashed the kids with soda. You have the incident that I filmed where a guy got whacked in the back of the head with a bag of rocks. You have the incident more incidents in San Jose where old people were shoved to the ground. They had their hats set on fire. Yeah, it happens a lot. I traveled around and I've seen it. And this is absolutely insane. I am sick and tired of the idea that you can punish the innocent in an effort to find the guilty. It's insane and it's psychotic. So let me just say one more time. You want to find the white supremacists? I'm going to bet it's these guys. These guys who are facing felony charges for ethnic intimidation for yelling ethnic slurs at minorities while they beat them. These two white men who claim to be anti-racist, who beat minorities, who beat Marines, and the Marines did nothing but visit historical landmarks in Philly. Yeah, ask me again who the fascists are. I'll give you a picture. Thanks for hanging out. I'll see you guys next time.